Welcome, viewers. Today we stand within the dark ashes of London, a city shattered by a mother's fierce and endless rage. This is no myth. In the year 60 AD, one single Celtic woman brought the mighty Roman Empire to its very knees. Her name was Boudicca, a noble queen who faced unspeakable cruelty, forced to watch her young daughters endure endless tragic pain. Yet Rome made a fatal mistake. They turned a peaceful widow into a dark, unstoppable goddess of relentless, fiery vengeance. How did her righteous rebellion end in total, devastating tragedy? Let us journey back to the very beginning. The year was 60 AD. The fierce and proud Celtic tribes of ancient Britain lived under the heavy, oppressive shadow of Rome. Deep in the misty lands of East Anglia, the Iceni tribe sought only a quiet, peaceful, and totally simple existence. Their proud king, Prasutagus, had just passed away, leaving a fragile kingdom utterly exposed to terrible danger. According to Roman historians, the dying king left exactly half of his immense wealth directly to Emperor Nero. He desperately hoped this massive royal bribe would completely protect his wife and two young daughters from terrible harm. Queen Boudicca swallowed her immense Celtic pride, desperately trying to keep her highly vulnerable people perfectly safe. She paid the heavy Roman taxes, helplessly watching her precious land being slowly drained of its glorious ancient beauty. The arrogant Roman guards constantly patrolled their peaceful villages, treating the native people like common wild beasts. Yet the noble queen remained entirely silent, choosing survival over a devastating and utterly pointless tribal war. Her two beautiful daughters played quietly in the open green fields, completely unaware of the approaching dark storm. They wore fine woven wool, symbols of a proud royal bloodline that Rome secretly despised and deeply, truly feared. Caius Decianus, a greedy Roman procurator, viewed the wealthy Iceni land as his personal prize. He coldly ignored the dead king's final will, firmly deciding that mere barbarians deserved absolutely no legal rights. The empire demanded total, unyielding submission, and they would take every last coin by cruel and devastating force. Boudicca stood bravely before the Roman officials, speaking softly but firmly for her people's fundamental freedom. She offered them pure gold and precious livestock, begging the cruel empire to honor the sacred ancient peace treaty. But the deafening silence of the elite Romans only signaled a truly terrifying and entirely imminent betrayal. The dark clouds of absolute destruction gathered swiftly over the innocent and utterly helpless Celtic kingdom. Rome did not want peaceful, cooperating allies. They only desired broken servants to build their glorious empire. The fragile illusion of safety was about to be completely shattered in the most horrific and devastating way. Without warning, heavily armed Roman soldiers violently smashed straight through the peaceful Iceni settlements. They ruthlessly tore down the simple wooden homes, violently ripping precious ancient heirlooms from trembling hands. The greedy soldiers stripped the wealthy noblemen of their ancestral lands, cruelly casting them out into the bitter cold. When Queen Boudicca fiercely protested this unlawful theft, the ruthless Roman guards quickly and violently seized her. They dragged the proud royal mother directly into the muddy public square, cruelly ripping her noble garments apart. Tacitus recorded that they tied her to a wooden post, lashing her back with incredibly brutal and heavy whips. Crimson stains marked the sacred earth as the helpless queen screamed aloud in absolute agony and deeply burning shame. But the absolute, true horror was yet to come, a dark nightmare that would forever break her gentle and loving heart. The ruthless soldiers forcefully grabbed her two young daughters, mercilessly dragging them away into the dark shadows. Right before her weeping eyes, the cruel men inflicted unspeakable suffering upon the terrified, screaming princesses. In that truly horrific moment, the peaceful mother died, and a dark, terrifying demon was instantly brought to life. The traumatized girls huddled in the freezing mud, their innocent young souls forever shattered by pure Roman cruelty. Boudicca looked up at the gloomy, gray sky her tearful eyes quickly turning into pits of pure, blazing hellfire. She realized that Roman justice was a bitter lie. The only true law was written in the devastating price of war. The severely injured queen stood up with fiery pride, calling upon the ancient war gods of her fierce ancestors. Word of her tragic, dark humiliation spread like a wild forest fire across the deeply oppressed Celtic lands. The neighboring Trinovantes tribe, suffering under Roman boots, quickly joined her righteous cause. Tens of thousands of fierce native warriors painted their faces blue, sharpening their long, incredibly deadly swords. A massive, totally unstoppable army of pure vengeance was forged from the dark ashes of a mother's deepest pain. If your family suffered such unspeakable tragic ruin, would you seek peace or burn the world down? Tell us below. The great Celtic horde marched furiously toward Camulodunum, the proud capital of Roman Britain. The arrogant Romans had built absolutely no defensive walls, foolishly believing the natives were fully tamed. Boudicca rode a fast wooden chariot, her fiery red hair blowing like a massive, terrifying crimson flag. The furious warriors violently crashed into the city, vanquishing the retired Roman veterans without any mercy. They burned the great, majestic temple of Claudius to the ground, trapping hundreds of terrified people inside. The sweet, intoxicating taste of violent revenge only made the wild Celtic army thirst for far more destruction. Next, the raging tribal queen turned her furious eyes toward the wealthy trading port of Londinium. Roman governor Suetonius Paullinus realized he could not defend the rich city in time. He coldly abandoned London to its extremely dark fate, leaving thousands of innocent civilians completely trapped. When Boudicca's massive, angry army finally arrived, they unleashed a storm of unimaginable dark horror. According to Dio Cassius, the raging Celts punished noble Roman women in the most gruesome, wicked ways. They relentlessly vanquished every single man, woman, and child they found hiding in the crowded, muddy streets. The majestic Roman buildings were very quickly set ablaze, creating an absolute inferno of pure destruction. The massive, roaring fire was so incredibly hot that it melted the city's red clay into a thick, dark layer. Even today, modern archaeologists can clearly find this thick, red, burning layer buried deep under London soil. Boudicca coldly watched the proud city crumble into black ashes, her fierce eyes reflecting the roaring, hot flames. She had fully reclaimed her lost royal dignity, but her hands were now deeply stained with a tragic, dark ruin. Nearly 80,000 Roman citizens and allies met a devastating fate during her terrifying rampage. The glorious Roman Empire had never faced such a deeply humiliating and utterly devastating defeat. The fierce, triumphant queen believed her massive, wild army was completely invincible against the frightened enemy. But a disorganized, raging mob of warriors can rarely defeat a cold, highly disciplined military machine. Is destroying an entire city truly justified for revenge? Please share your deepest thoughts down in the comments. Governor Suetonius finally gathered his 10,000 elite legionaries for the ultimate grand showdown. He brilliantly chose a narrow gorge surrounded by a dense forest, located near the famous ancient Watling Street. This highly clever Roman tactic completely prevented the massive Celtic horde from easily surrounding his men. Boudicca led nearly 200,000 screaming warriors, completely confident in their sheer, massive numbers. The overly confident Celts even brought their families in wooden wagons to clearly watch the final victory. The wild barbarians charged blindly into the narrow valley, screaming their truly terrifying ancient war cries. But the cold Roman soldiers stood perfectly still in formation, waiting patiently like a solid, unbreakable wall. At the perfect moment, the highly disciplined legionaries threw thousands of heavy javelins into the crowd. The sharp iron pierced straight through the unarmored Celtic bodies, instantly causing massive chaos and absolute ruin. Then, the Romans formed their famous tortoise shield wall, marching bravely forward with cold, robotic precision. Their short, stabbing swords ruthlessly struck down the completely tired, disorganized native warriors without mercy. The massive Celtic army panicked and tried to violently flee, but their own wooden wagons fully blocked the way. What followed was not a battle, but a systematic, cold-blooded and total destruction of the helpless people. Roman historians coldly claim that nearly 80,000 Celts were vanquished on that truly terrifying day. The fierce Queen Boudicca watched in absolute horror as her entire fragile kingdom was brutally erased. She knew that falling into Roman hands meant endless suffering and public humiliation for her brave family. To escape the cruel chains of the evil empire, the defeated queen firmly chose a final, quiet escape. As her tired body collapsed into the freezing, cold mud, the fiery Celtic rebellion officially died beside her. Boudicca lost her lovely daughters and her peaceful home, leaving behind only a dark, tragic, and sorrowful legacy. But she taught the mighty Roman Empire a truly painful lesson about a mother's terrifying, endless wrath. Boudicca burned a glorious city to ashes, but lost her kingdom. Was her extremely dark revenge truly justified? Was she just a ruthless barbarian, or a truly heroic mother? Please tell us all of your deep thoughts down below. If you truly enjoyed this epic history tale, please like, share, and quickly subscribe to our channel for more.